Okay, this is our freshly rebuilt Garrett Turbo. Here on the bottom side where it connects to the pedestal, there are some holes. Here in these recessed cavities go some O-rings. I have a pack with the necessary O-rings in it right here. These came with our 360-degree rebuild kit. Comes with a set of large and small O-rings like you can see right here. Okay, so I have mounted the turbo onto the pedestal, and there's a couple things that you got to do first before you can put the turbo in the truck. So before you can set the pedestal into the motor with the turbo on it, there's a couple things you're going to want to do first. So you'll notice that I have not put the housing on the turbo. You leave it off until you're ready to do the final hookup on the exhaust. You'll also notice, you remember these bolts that were in the front on the pedestal? You remember these two pain in the asses from removal? Okay, well, these two in the back that were a pain in the butt during removal need to go in the pedestal before you set it in the hole. They have to be in here because once they're in, this bolt will not go in this hole because of the exhaust flange. Okay, you also want this area open so you can still stick your hand in there and turn it, because the exhaust flange is also not going to allow you to put a socket on the top of it. So the bolt goes in, both of them, make sure they're in their holes, then put the pedestal in, and then leave this housing off so you can still get to this bolt and turn it, because it'd be hard to get a socket on. A lot of guys will grind down the exhaust flange. If you want to do that, go for it. I'm not going to do it. I think it's more energy and time than it's worth than it'll even help. So I'm just going to go ahead and put the bolts in like this. Now, another thing you're going to have to do is on the block where this part of the pedestal sits, there's two other O-rings that match the O-rings that are between the pedestal and the turbo. Okay, those need to be soaked in some Rotella. That's what I have here. I have some Rotella in the cap. They need to be put in Rotella first. The old O-rings need to be pulled out of the block. The new O-rings need to be set into the block. The two screws need to be in. I don't know how many times I can say that. You're going to have to take the turbo back out if you forget to put these in. Okay? And don't put the side of this housing on. So the turbo's ready to go back in the truck. We'll do that next. Okay, so as you can see below, right here is where your O-rings are for the pedestal. Sometimes you got to use a little screwdriver to break them loose and get them out. But after you have the old ones out, you can go ahead and put your new ones in that came with your 360-degree rebuild kit. If you got your rebuild kit from Pure Turbo, it includes all these pieces. And if you mention this video, you can get a 10% discount. Pure Turbo's information is located in the comments below. Okay, so not only is that on, but now also you're going to have to scrape off your old gasket. And a lot of times it's kind of stuck on there. So I pop it off with a screwdriver. Okay. And where is our new gasket? Here it is right here. Ordered this from dieselorings.com as well. It's really the best place to go if you go to the dealership for any of these one-off parts. They're going to charge you an arm and a leg. So it would look like, I would think, we're ready for the pedestal to go in with the turbo on it. So we'll go ahead and shoot that next. So as you can see, the turbocharger's back on the truck. The nuts, the two pedestal bolts that are located around back of the turbocharger were a little bit of a pain in the ass, as anticipated. But you know, you pretty much just have to be patient, use your hand in there, slide the, make sure you put the bolt in before you set the pedestal in. Just that one bolt. I mean, I do both of them, but it's only because I've done this before, and I know I have a magnet that I use to lift the second bolt so that I can slide it into place. But pretty much if you just put the one, put the pedestal on there, and put a couple of the two nuts in the flange, the exhaust flange at the top, to kind of suck the turbo into where it belongs. Don't tighten them down all the way, leave them loose so they have play, but put them in there so it kind of lines up the turbo where it's going to naturally want to go. And then if you just kind of shift the pedestal around and spin the bolt at the same time with your hand, it'll eventually catch thread and start getting in. And once you spin it down with your hand enough, you can get a 1/4 inch drive, 10mm socket on both of the bolts and tighten them right down. It took me maybe 15 minutes of kind of shifting and playing to get it down. Now the alternative is that you can grind down one of the flanges on the exhaust in the back. Myself, I didn't want to have to cover up all the work I'd just done, get the grinder out, run a cord, all this different stuff. For me, I had the room since I've done the EBV delete, and there's no hump there anymore, and I had the housing off. I had the room to just kind of take my time, shift the pedestal around, and not grind it down. So I went ahead and didn't grind it down. We're going to put a few of the finishing pieces on it today. I'm going to call this the upper plenum right here. I'm going to call this piece the upper plenum. You can see the brass piece on it. I plumbed it in for our boost gauge. Somebody put a boost gauge on this truck and then decided in all their infinite wisdom to plumb it poorly, I might add, into the vacuum system for some reason. So this piece is now replumbed so that it'll take the tube for a boost gauge. So my truck will actually have a functioning boost gauge. I also have the EBV housing on the back side of the turbo to connect to the downpipe. That needs to go on. And then I have all my air intake pieces. So when that's all done, when my air intake pieces are on, my upper plenum, my EVB piece, and I've squared away that, the niche in that piece, we'll shoot some more video and I'll go over some more tips and tricks. Okay, thank you. Okay, as you can see, we have the turbocharger back in. Now at this point, I don't care when the last time you did change your oil. Go ahead and change the oil on the vehicle. Again, you don't want to push dirty oil through a brand new clean turbocharger that you just rebuilt. That'd be a little stupid. I recommend using Rotella T for the oil change simply because of the new parts inside of the turbocharger. You can use whatever you want. The other thing I did, this truck already came equipped with a K&N air filter. So I took a 5-gallon bucket, filled it up about 2/3 of the way with warm water, considerably warm water, and some soft soap, a good couple 4 or 5 squirts of soft soap. And I just ran the air filter in and out, in and out, in and out a bunch of times and washed all the bugs and dirt and junk out of the K&N. And then you're going to want to use this stuff right here, K&N air filter oil, and re-slather the outside of it. This is very important. A cloth filter does not work unless it's properly oiled. It will let stuff pass. So you must, after cleaning your K&N, oil it with air filter oil. So other than that, the assembly was pretty much a breeze. I put all new high quality stainless steel clamps on all of the boost side of the turbocharger. I put new high quality grade 10 bolts on the hard to reach spots inside the turbocharger. I replaced all the bolts that go into cast iron as far as the 8mm 12-point bolts. If you want a list of specialty tools, you can watch the turbo removal video. I use pretty much the same tools to get the turbo back on that I used to take it off. And that wraps up the turbo installation. If this helped you out, please like and subscribe. Thank you, and I hope this worked for you.